What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, as we got a big-time report coming in from Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times that he is saying that Demar Derozan's tenure with the Chicago Bulls is coming to an end. As this is, I don't want to call it obvious move here or an obvious report, but I definitely did see this coming, and this is what he said. Apparently, the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade was the final straw. This was aggregated by NBA Central, great Twitter account. If you're a diehard NBA fan, you should definitely be following him. But let's focus in on the quote here. This is coming in from Joe Cowley, pretty tapped in with the Bulls, and he's gotten a couple things wrong in the past, but, who hasn't? But he said this: a source told the Sun-Times late Sunday night that the Alex Caruso, Josh Giddey trade was the final straw in DeRozan's mind for any sort of return, as the 34-year-old will now use his free agency to shop elsewhere. So a couple of thoughts came to mind. We'll also on today's show talk about Jalen Smith, talk about Zach Lavine at the end of it, but we're going to focus in here on Demar Derozan. So the first thing that came to my mind was two things. Is he just going to walk in free agency, or are the Bulls able to pull off any sort of sign and trade? Well, I think to answer that question, we got to look at his top destination. So, with a lot of these teams, with how the apron rules now work in the NBA, like most of these guys aren't going to be able to just sign Lavine to a 3-year, $90 million deal. They're probably going to have to aggregate some contracts out to help match salary and free up cap space for DeRozan coming to the respective team. Well, what about the Golden State Warriors? Keep your eyes out on them. They could send DeMar DeRozan, or they could send Andrew Wiggins for DeMar DeRozan in a sign and trade. I think they're very likely. We've talked about the Clippers, hometown team for DeMar DeRozan, as where they shake out in the Western Conference. They have Kawhi Leonard. They just brought back James Harden on a $35 million per year deal, and they don't really have enough juice to compete in the West. Maybe they view DeRozan as that Paul George replacement, and maybe they look at that fit a little better. But what about the Lakers? Now, I fully expect the Lakers to be super aggressive because, I'm thinking in the mind of LeBron James right now. And, LeBron apparently said today, this was coming in from Windhorse, saying that he would be open to taking a pay cut for DeMar DeRozan. Well, what about the Lakers? Because if you think about it, with where the Lakers are at right now in their kind of franchise, they aren't good enough to compete in the West. And maybe they're looking at DeRozan as that final piece to get them over the hump. And if you're LeBron James, what better way, and I hate bringing this up on a Bulls channel, as I will say MJ is the undisputed GOAT. It won't be changed no matter what LeBron does over the next couple of years. But what a better argument you can make than I went and won a championship with my son Bronny in me entering my age 40 season here in a second. But DeMar, he's been great for the Chicago Bulls. I can't say enough about what he's done. Not only on the court, he's been super productive. I mean, even dating back to that season when the Bulls were atop of the Eastern Conference before Lonzo Ball got hurt, he was averaging 27.9 points per game, was always great in the playmaking category, but also off the court. Like the development of guys like Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, I think he has been fantastic in just being that veteran presence, being that leader, teaching them the ins and outs of the games. And, DeMar, it's just, time to go because, I think the youth movement is finally here in Chicago. And, we have been pounding the table about this for about probably 2.5 years now. And the Bulls have 10 players on their roster that are under the age of 26. You got Lonzo Ball, 26 years old. Bidham is still 25. But then you got Jalen Smith, who you signed earlier today. He's 24 years old. Ayo, 24 as well. Kobe White, 24. And then you got 5 players on the right side of your screen right now who are all under the age of 22 years old. Patrick Williams, love the move of bringing him back, signing him to a 5-year, $90 million deal. That's going to be one of the best contracts in the NBA over the next couple of years. Josh Giddey, people were freaking out. Why would the Bulls trade Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey? Well, you sold Caruso when his value was at its highest, and you bought Josh Giddey when his value was at his lowest, think we'll be looking back on that in a couple years and be like, that was a fantastic move. Then you got Terry and Phillips, the developmental wings, super athletic. They could, somehow establish a more consistent catch and shoot three. They could really take their game to the next level. Then obviously Modest Buzelis, fantastic pick, 19 years old, hometown kid from Chicago. And I just think, I'm very happy with how AK and Mark Eversley have handled this offseason. But hey, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We're closing in on 8,200 subs. Crossed over 8,000 late last night. So seriously, shout out to all of you guys. Really do appreciate you guys, showing support to the channel. And, no matter what the report is around your Chicago Bulls, we will have a video for you guys ASAP, no matter the time, no matter where I'm at. I mean, I was making a video in my car the other day, talking about the Patrick Williams extension. So, hit that subscribe button and lock us in. But let's talk about that guy up there, Jalen Smith, as he was the signing for the Chicago Bulls early on this morning. Then we'll wrap up today's show talking about Lavine. But Jalen Smith, throughout his NBA career, he was the former 10th overall pick coming out of Maryland. So he's a Big Ten guy. Love to see that. But, he's been pretty solid over the past couple of years. But, we really saw his breakout season this past season for the Indiana Pacers, as he was a key role player on a team that made the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, he played in just 17 minutes a game, and he was able to shoot 42.4% from downtown on 3 attempts per game. So in those 17 minutes, he was putting up 3 threes a night, and he was shooting lights out at 42.4%. But he also has great rim protecting ability. Even though it only has, the stats show half a block a game for him, he's great at protecting the rim, great in that sag coverage. And I just think Jalen Williams, he offers you, versatility to this lineup. And I think that's key in the NBA because, if we're looking at just around the NBA landscape, like if the Bulls do have aspirations to be one of the best teams in the NBA, you're going to have to be versatile. Because if you go throughout an NBA playoff run, you're going to get so many different types of teams. Like just take the East, for example. You got the Knicks, who are that, gritty, rugged team with elite wing defenders and elite point guard. And then you got like the Celtics, who play 5 out. They can all beat you off the dribble. They can all shoot the ball really well. Then you got the Sixers. They're just a different taste of a basketball team, where they got Embiid, that powerhouse at the center position. Like all these teams are so different, and Jalen Williams offers you a stretch 4, a stretch 5. You can run him next to a prototypical big like a Steven Adams, archetype of player. Play him at the 4, so it gives you like a big feel to the lineup. But you could also go 5 out with him and still have rim protection. This was a home run signing. I absolutely loved it, and plus only on a 3-year, $27 million deal. Like, I think that was just an absolute steal for the Chicago Bulls. But let's wrap up today's show talking about Zach Lavine here. And, what's the biggest reason why Zach Lavine hasn't been traded? His contract. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, $43 million next year, $46 the year after, $48 the year after that. Does have a player option for that 26th season. And I'll tell you what, I would be shocked if he doesn't opt into that, because also the 15% trade kicker. So you take that $43 million, add 15% up on it, it gets up to around $49 million. So, this Lavine contract's definitely going to make it hard to move. We did get a report yesterday that apparently the Warriors declined a deal of Andrew Wiggins and Chris Paul for Zach Lavine. A little bit of a shocker on that one. Then obviously the Golden State Warriors ended up waiving Chris Paul right after that. But what are some Lavine destinations? So we've heard 2 teams on here linked and, reportedly have been in contact about the Bulls around Lavine. That being the Utah Jazz, and that also being the Sacramento Kings. I could see them making a play. I had the San Antonio Spurs on here. This was before they, signed Chris Paul. I think they still could maybe go in on Lavine, because you think about his red flags, like the contract and then the defense and leadership. Well, the Spurs culture will be able to cover up the defense and leadership pretty easily. And also, we saw Lavine play his best defense in his career when he was with Team USA under Greg Popovich. So keep that in mind. But also the contract, like Victor Wembanyama, still on his rookie deal. They have all types of cap space. Maybe they want to just, make a push for the playoffs this year just to get Wemby that playoff experience. I could see that. The Orlando Magic, I had on here before they signed KCP. I think this probably takes them out of the Zach Lavine sweepstakes. But, the point I'm trying to make here is like, and also, actually, I'll say this first. The Lakers are obviously on there. I don't know how they're going to make it work financially. maybe this is LeBron. He just says, F it, I'm taking a crazy pay cut. Go get me Zach Lavine, and they just roll out, they trade us back D'Lo and, Rui or something to match contracts, and LeBron takes a massive pay cut, and then you're going with Reeves, Lavine, LeBron, AD, and then even what if they could somehow sling, Klay Thompson? I could see the Lakers getting super aggressive here. But point being is, it's tough to just find a team that is willing to trade for Zach Lavine. And obviously the biggest, reason for that is his contract. And, I think Lavine has honestly gone over-criticized and extremely, honestly, underrated right now. Like, if people forget of how we viewed Zach Lavine before last season, I mean, we were talking about him as just an elite 3-level scorer, could be that, final piece to get a team over the championship hump. And, I really do believe that, the Bulls are probably going to roll into this next season with Lavine on the roster. Ideally, the Bulls, you have Josh Giddey at the 1, Kobe White at the 2, Lavine will probably run in the 3. Then you got Patrick Williams, and then if it is Vooch at the 5, or maybe you go ahead and, get somebody else. But, like, that 5-man unit is fun. It's exciting. You're going to put up a lot of points. And also, you could just move Lavine at the deadline because teams will be more aggressive at the NBA trade deadline in comparison to this summer. Because let's just say, the Orlando Magic or somebody, they start off wicked hot to the season. They're 30-12, and they're right on the verge of contending for championships. They could then view him as a piece that could get them over the hump. So I think Lavine, if I had to predict it right now, he is going to be on this roster, heading into the season. But guys, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Want to say thank you so much for the support as of lately on the show. So seriously, thank you guys so much for, always tuning in and commenting, liking the video. Really goes a long way here at Chat Sports. So shout out to all of you guys, but really do appreciate it as Demar Derozan, his tenure with the Chicago Bulls is coming to the end. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.